Alright, I thought I'd go ahead and take this XXX and have some KT77s, and I'd like to swap out the tubes and just see what they sound like and if there is any kind of change. We're going to use this Ibanez guitar, forget what it's called, but it's awesome. And I'm going to go ahead and swap these tubes out. I already pre-recorded some stuff, so we're going to re-record it again with this one SM57 on the Mesa Black Shadow and just see what it sounds like. Let's see if I could do these in one shot. Got this up on the bench. Go ahead. I mean, don't use drills. I don't mind it because, you know, work on amps, and if I mess something up, I can fix it. But let's see if I can get all these out. Now I'm gonna try to do this without messing the knobs up here. I did take a picture of them. Look at those things. Okay, so now you can pull the chassis. There's some screws under here too. Finally. Okay. Got this pulled out now. Some reverb stuff. So it was caught on this little reverb pins. Okay. You guys ever wanted to see inside of a Peavey XXX? There you go. This cap looks like it's doing something there. Okay. And this is where I get to pull out my little bias reader and see what it's reading. It's a little cage for the tubes, set up for 6L6GCs, and the bias knob looks pretty high. Okay, I have got my little attenuator load box thing hooked up into 16 ohms. We're going to test the bias using my multimeter. Turn that on. Let's do this. Let's see what we get. 61 volts. Okay. Now let's see what happens when we turn it on. Okay. 59 volts. Get my trusty glove. I'm going to check each one of these as it is. All right. So 6L6GCs are about 30 watts max dissipation. So I should see lower than 30 watts, obviously. So I already have a reading for plate voltage. Let's see what it does. All right, that's great actually. 20. That's exactly where I'd want it to be. Okay. Let that warm up for a second. And let's go. We're looking at 16 watts, a little low. Go ahead and pull this. So we had 20, 16. Okay. So that one was pretty low. Okay. Last one. Interesting. 15. So this one's cooking a little more than the others. Let's see what this dial does. I'm gonna, because it's at 3 o'clock right now. So in this case, what I would do is I'd take the lowest one and probably pop it up over here. So let's go ahead and check that. I'm gonna put it back to 3 o'clock, right? Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna swap this one and this one. I'm gonna take this one, stick it over here. Okay. Let's see what it reads now. So maybe just the tubes are mismatched, but it looks like, you know, on the labels, I mean, these are old tubes, right? But they're still working great, so. All right, let's go ahead and swap the tubes. I want to note that KT77s are of the EL34 family. So there is a switch. I'll show you. The switch here, I'm going to switch it over to EL34, and then we'll check the bias again. And then we'll re-record. So I have basically a brand new set KT77s here. Let's go ahead and power it all the way down. I'll go ahead, pop these off. Stick that there. Turn to EL34. This will be interesting, right? KT77 time. Let's see if there's a difference at all, really. I'm leaving the bias adjusted to at where it was. Good, turn that on. That's interesting, the voltage is lower. Let's flip her on. Oh yeah. Really low. Okay, so now let's see. All right, KT77s are max dissipation of 25 watts, so probably around 18 or so. So I'm turning this bias dial. I'm turning it up. Ooh. 17. Okay, we'll stick it there at 17. Just kind of go across the board with them and just see where they sit at with it being at 17 for that tube. And we'll go across and see what they all look like. Just like we did before. 16. And yes, you're supposed to give it some time to kind of settle in, but it's a good range for me. Yeah, I'm good with that. So that's 16. That's good, right? Let's go to the next one. These rubber gloves are very handy. Not supposed to touch these with your fingers. All right. Perfect. 17. It looks good to me. You can tell that these tubes are much better matched. So, and the last one. And yes, when you take these out, you want to go in a circular motion. There we go. And flip her on. Perfect. All right. So now we can go ahead and put it back over to the amp. I'm just going to leave it just like this. Put it back to the cab, and then we'll just keep rocking with it. And as you can see, the voltage is lower going through the bias. Little prong sets here. But yeah, all right, let's check it out. Okay, so I got this back on the cab, hooked up and everything, and I'm just gonna go through the riffs and then we can compare them back and forth, see what it sounds like. All right, here is my session. I'll go ahead and explain a little bit about what I did here. There's 3 different riffs that I A-B'd. So basically this up here, the 6L6GC, you know, is both the rhythm and the harmony, and the same thing for the KT77. So I was able to accomplish this because I used a metronome and just kind of recorded the same riffs. Now, obviously there's going to be some difference in the way I play these riffs because it's 2 different takes. But that doesn't really matter for this because you can clearly hear the difference between these whenever you're playing with this. So what we'll do is we'll go through each of these riffs. The first one is on the ultra setting on the amp, and the second riff is on the crunch, and then the last riff is on the clean. So just to go over again, these 2, tell you what, let's see, let me see if I can do this. Custom color, let's do, it's easy to see, that one, okay? And then this one will be custom color purple. Okay, now you can see that the 6L6GC is the orange and the KT77 is the purple. So as we're going through this, you can visually see what exactly is playing as we go through this. So I'm gonna go through this and just let it play, and then we can talk about it a little bit afterwards. So. Okay, so that was the ultra setting riff. And as you can see at the end here, we did a quick drop out, so check it out. Okay, now let's go over to the crunch riff, crunch setting, and let's do it. You know, we start out on the KT77. obviously there's a clear difference here. The KT77 sounds a lot thicker on the bottom end and also smoother on the top, where the 606 doesn't have as big as the low end as the KT77. Now, mind you, the KT77 is in the EL34 family, so that makes sense, and that's what we've all read everywhere. And I haven't like really seen a big difference with tubes until this. So this definitely changes things for me a little bit. If an amp is a little too spiky, the EL34 family would help out. I mean, that's what it's made for, right? And that's what everybody's told me. And going through my tests and stuff, I just never found it that way. But with this one, using the same amp, using the same mic, and not moving anything but the tubes, it really shows. I mean, look at this. So the difference in volume here. So the KT77 is just thicker. And you can see the 606 just a little thinner there. So let's listen to it. Wow. Okay. I mean, it's the same deal with what we've heard on the rest of these. Is that the KT77s just has a little more oomph to it. Now, depending if you want that in your amp, that is designed to be, you know, thicker or a little more shrill at the top, or more top end, and you know, it'd be kind of cool to do this with a Mesa Boogie. To see what you could do with that low end and stuff in the presence. And putting EL34s in a Mesa Boogie, I think would be awesome. Maybe one day I can test that out too. So, let's just kind of 66. That's crazy. There you go. I'm kind of surprised at how much of a difference these tubes actually make in this amp. Now, I've done this before and it didn't make that big of a difference, but this one's pretty big. This one's definitely a good way to discern what type of amp you want to have, what type of tubes. So, but yeah, I think that was it. I just wanted to go through those and show you guys, and hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys got any questions, this was more of a techie kind of video, you know, going through and biasing the amp and all that stuff. But you know, I like doing that kind of stuff, and that's what I think sets my channel apart a little bit. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun for me. It was really cool to see the changes, and I got a few friends who were really interested in seeing this. So I was finally able to do this, and it was at the house, so it made it easier to change out the tubes and all that stuff. But anyways, DMD out.